talk about bending. Okay, I'm going to give you a whole little lesson on bending. But I think the main question you were about to have, and stop me if I'm wrong because I didn't even let you finish. I think the main question you're about to ask, though, is where are the best notes to bend? Okay, so assuming A minor pentatonic, okay, fifth position, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8, resolving. The best notes to bend are the 8th fret of the first string, which I would do. I'm not going to use my pinky usually. I'm going to slide the 3rd finger up so that I can back it with these other 2 fingers. So my 1st and 2nd fingers are there, pushing as well. My thumb comes up around the side of the neck so that when I can clamp my hand, and basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to pull the thumb and fingers together.
Yeah.
Okay? You bend your, or twist your wrist around. One of the reasons you make your thumb go this way is that I want my fingers approaching at about a 45-degree angle. Because if they're straight up and I try to push, they're going to collapse. So I want about a 45-degree angle so I have an equal amount of pressure across and down. Because if I'm too much this way, then I can't hold the string down, and it's going to, that's what happened, my fingers slid off. So bending first, the 8th fret of the first string. Once again, we're in A minor, we're in 5th position. Normally I would play the 8th fret with the pinky, but I'm going to slide to the 3rd finger, and I bend. I have 3 directions. I can bend up, I can pre-bend, and release. Now, don't try this on that guitar. I mean, I feel pain in my fingertips from demonstrating that.
Lots of calluses now.
Yeah, I have calluses too, but look. Do you notice my 3rd finger is the one I bend with? Do you see how the skin leaves the nail at a different place than any of my other fingers?
Yeah.
That's why. From years of bending, I have changed the way my finger works, and actually the nail joins further back. It's not as noticeable right now because they're not trimmed. But anyway, the 8th fret, and you can bend up, bend down. You can combine them. You can do a bend up and release, which is called a bend and release, or you could do a pre-bend and rebend. I played a wrong note in that scale. The best notes to bend are the 8th fret of the first string in A minor, 8th fret of the 2nd string. If you remember, if you were there for the
that's
is that
a Texas
Buddy Holly
lick?
lick. That's a Buddy Holly lick. Not Buddy Holly.
No, it's
Chuck Berry.
Yeah. So you're bending into that note, and you're using that note to also.
Right. The 8th fret is a G.
Yeah.
I'm bending the G up to A, and then I play the A, and I kind of bow. And that's kind of a chicken picking kind of thing as well, but I'm not going to try to do that on this guitar because really I'm hurting my hand as I do this trying to demonstrate it because I'm playing on the wrong guitar. I'm using a medium gauge string on an acoustic guitar, bad bending combination. And my hands are fairly strong. I've been doing it a long time, but it's not good. Anyway, so the 8th fret of the first string, 8th fret of the 2nd string. When you're bending the 8th fret of the first string, you're bending up to the 4th. Or you can by bending one fret
to the major 3rd.
Oh, thank you so much, Frankie. Thank you for understanding stuff. Bending from the minor to the major 3rd. And that's also, now, this isn't a bending thing, but that is such a cool thing to do when you're improvising. If you want, everybody learns to improv out of the A minor scale, in the key of A minor, or out of this pentatonic scale, whatever key, but they learn to use this scale. This scale contains a weird note. Because when you're in this scale and you're improvising over the key of A, when you hit that C natural on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, if you do that during the A chord, it's not going to sound right, although people do it all the time. it's going to sound weird because you're putting a minor third against a chord with a major third.
Yeah.
So let's see here real quick if I can find a backing track. I don't want to stop the thing from running.
So it's the conflict between the scale and the actual chord that's being played?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want conflict. Well, we do want conflict to a point. We want conflict, and then we want conflict resolution. That's what we want. So I'm going to once again dig up Peter Vogel here, who did all of these wonderful things and doesn't know that I use them and use them and use them.
Tuning notes.
Okay,
E.
that's not what I want. Okay, so let's see. Now this says Simple Blues in G. Actually, this is not a Simple Blues in G. This is Stormy Monday, but it'll give me something to start with. And we're on the one chord, right? Hang on. Now notice, there at the end I did something odd. Well, I went to the... You are so smart, man. Yeah, so I went to the 5/7, by the way, excuse on the YouTube video. I hope nobody else watches this but Frankie, because that thunderous sound is my wonderful air conditioner, which conditions the air by beating it senseless. And it screams in pain, and this is the sound of it. On the one chord, if I'm in the progression, listen to the progression. And its chord starts on the one chord. 1, 1, 1, 4. Oh, I'm sorry, this one's 4-bar intro on 1. Darn it. Then it tells me 4. Wow!
Because it's the 7th of the 4 chord.
You are so, excuse me, you are so fucking smart. Thank you. Yes, it's the 7 of the 4 chord. So, and in most cyclical progressions that move in movement of fourths, the 3rd of the chord resolves to the 7th of the next chord, and the 7th of the chord resolves to the 3rd. The 7th of the first chord resolves to the 3rd, the next chord, because thirds and roots are triads, right? So I could actually watch this. Left shit right here.
Oh, okay. Your pinky.
But what I'm showing you is that here's my one chord, move down a fret. So this is the 7 of my one chord and the 3rd of my one chord, right? We're getting completely off topic from what I was going through. This is the 3rd of my 4 chord and the 7th. Notice, 7th and 3rd become 3rd and 7th.
Could you aim that towards the camera?
This
I don't-
shape is called the tritone. The tritone is one of the most active intervals we have because it really wants to go somewhere else because it sounds bad. In music history, this was called Diablo in Musica, the devil in music, because it's such a dissonant tone. And dissonant means action. It wants to go somewhere. You know, I could I can take that and just go, and it's gonna or even, and it feels like it resolved, like it did something. But that tritone is the third and seventh of the one chord.
Yeah.
Now this is kind of.
And it would be C sharp and G.
C sharp and G. And I'm playing a 3-note chord right now. I'm playing the A on the 6th string. I'm not going to give you fret numbers because you're obviously getting all this, so you can figure this out.
The note names work a lot better for me.
A, G, and C sharp. Pardon me?
The note names work a lot better for me.
Okay. A, G, and C sharp. Now if I leave, I'm going to the 4 chord. And if I keep the A in the bass, which is the 5th of the D chord, all I do is move the 7th and 3rd down 1 fret, and it becomes F sharp and C. From G and C sharp, it becomes F sharp and C. And they're reversed now. It was the 7th and the 3rd. Now the lower note is the 3rd of the 4 chord, and the upper part of the tritone is the 7th, is the C note. The tritone's an interesting interval. The tritone is cutting the octave, cutting the scale in half. If you'll notice in music, we have, if you go up a major scale, I'll use terminology like we've got the root, the major second, the major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh. In a minor scale, you have the root, the major second, which is kind of an anomaly to call it that, the minor third, the perfect fourth, perfect fifth, the minor sixth, minor seventh, and the root. So, like in a minor scale, we flat all the major notes, the third, sixth, and seventh, and it becomes minor. Except for that second. And I say that's an anomaly because both the major scale and minor scale contain a major second between the first and second notes. But the flat 5 or sharp 4 is directly, something's clicking.
Yeah, I was thinking about it in terms of piano.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let me in jazz, now this is taking you away from where we're at a little bit.
That's fine.
But in jazz, there's a very, very common chord substitution.
Yeah, and I don't understand how to use it. I've never understood.
Well, okay. Let's see. It goes, this is just the first 2 chords of autumn. Right? Let's see. What did I just do? I played, it went from A minor to D7, right? Well, the tritone sub is A flat 7 because A flat 7, look, it contains the same root in the third. It's the root of the chord is a tritone away. So now, instead of using that as a passing chord, the autumn leaves by my window, right? Instead of using it as a passing, now I've never done this before, this is probably going to sound horrible. The autumn leaves drift by my window. It didn't sound horrible.
No.
So I substituted the tritone sub, I substituted a 7th chord, a tritone away. Now on the guitar, that's a 5th, and this is a 4th, right? The tritone is always that shape in between. And a 4th down, or a 5th down, if we're going down, it's still that shape. The lower string is 1 fret lower.
It's from like the root to the flat 5th?
Right.
Is that what?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the tritone shape is the same. Unlike other things, the tritone shape is the same always, except between the 2nd and 3rd strings where we've got a 2 fret gap. And you can, as I play through this, going through these tritones, God, that's annoying. Right? That's why a 7th chord is so active. That's why a 7th chord wants to resolve to 1 so badly. because the resolution to 1. Okay, if I'm doing D7, now I've got to think about this. D7. Oh. Okay. 3rd and 7th move in opposite directions and become the 5th and or the root and the 3rd of the chord. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 5 to 1.
Yeah, it's the same movement. Yeah. That's why the substitutions work. So I'm guessing.
Well, no, the substitutions work because we're keeping 2 common tones.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In the substitution, see here the tritone
does
move.
Does the same resolution happen? Is it the same resolution?
Well, yeah, because I'm using a sub. Yeah. Like if I'm going to G, you know, I could do. Now, in that case, this actually normally goes to a G major 7 in this song, so we'd be going, the autumn leaves drift by my window. That's cool. See, in jazz, so many times the movement is in fourths, and it's that's what you're looking for. In a movement of fourths, 2 to 5, or 1 to 4, or 5 to 1, that's movement in intervals of fourth. True?
Mm-hmm.
2 to 5, 1 to 4, 5 to 1. Those movements all, the 7th resolves, becomes the 3rd of the new chord, and the 3rd becomes the 7th of the new chord.
Flat 3rd?
Depends on the chord.
Yeah.
Depends on the chord. The 7th too, it depends on the chord.
Yeah.
You know, what I did here, and it's why I had to think about it, because I don't think about this stuff as much as you're making me. This is good. I mean, I'm happy with this. But, okay, so we went 7th and 3rd of an A minor 7 chord. Now, we're not playing a tritone right now. And the next chord is a D7. So the 7th, the G, resolves down to become the 3rd of the D7 chord, but the 3rd of the A minor chord remains where it was to become the 7th, okay? And now the next chord is G major 7. Actually, now, so in this case then, the 3rd of the D7 chord remains where it is. F sharp stays where it is because it's becoming the 7th of the G major 7 chord. Okay, and this was the 7th of the D7 has to resolve down to become the 3rd of the G. Okay, and the next chord is C major 7, the 3rd of the. This is the 7th. These are going to have to become 3rd and 7th. So because I'm moving in fourths again, so the 3rd of the C major 7. Wait a minute now. The 3rd, this the F sharp that was the major 7 of the G chord moves down to the E, the 3rd of the C chord, and the B stays where it is because it's a B major 7. And this just continues. So, and the cool thing is, if you understand this, wow, actually, I mean, I'm helping myself. If you really understand this, so much movement in so much jazz and popular music movement, the chord movement is done in circles of fourth. You know? what I was trying to do is, I was doing. It sounded like I was doing Paco Bell's Canon, and actually, what I was trying to do was Jimi Hendrix. H.O. Anyway, so this little video that I thought was going to be like 2 minutes long is now 20 minutes long, talking about chord resolution. But this is a big freaking deal. I even put a swear word on here. I actually think I dropped an F-bomb on this one. But this is that movement of thirds is so important, because then, you know, if I want to. Sorry.
Some ragtime on the piano, and all the chord progressions are based on that, but they're really simple. It's
cycle of fourths.
Yeah.
Cycle. If I leave you with nothing else this semester, exploring cycle of fourths, I think tritone subs are really cool. I'm still I'm still working on that myself, but understanding it now, that's the big thing. Third goes to seventh, seventh goes to three, in a progression, moving in a cycle of fourths. Major, minor, whatever, you know, the roots change. And I mean, the cool thing about this particular tune that I keep referencing, it's like the only jazz tune I really know. I didn't say that. A minor 7 to D7 to G major to C major 7 to F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Now that's actually the 2 chord in the key of E minor. We're really working our way through the cycle from the 4 chord down to E minor. So that's F sharp minor 7 flat 5 is the 2 chord within the key, then to the B7, which is not. That's an altered chord. At that point, you raise the 7th of the scale. The D becomes a D sharp, and there it is. But most of the movement, everything up to that D sharp, stays within the key, and you cycle through the chords. Now think about what you could do with that. Right? And all I'm saying, you start to get to where you can play a chord with 3 notes and walk the bass. I'm not good at that yet, but that's you only need 3 chords, 3 notes. The 3 color tones are the root. Actually, the 2 color tones are the 3rd and the 7th. If you've got a bass player, you know, this is all you need to play. Quarter minor. There's going through the whole cycle in 2 note chords.
And resolving back to 1, right?
Well, I go to, actually it doesn't resolve back to 1. In this case, the chord progression starts on the 4 chord. The song, and that's always thrown me too. Yeah. I'm only recently starting to understand. The song Autumn Leaves has an F sharp in it. That's it. That's the only accidental. Until we get to the B7 chord. It is actually a progression starting on 4, working through the cycle of fourths to get back down to 1. Then the B section of the song is the same progression, except it starts on the 2 chord. So it goes 2, 5, 1. And then it starts the 4 chord.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2 chord, not 4. It is the 4 chord. 4 chord to the 7 chord down to the 3. Then the 6 chord in a minor key, 2 chord, 5, 1. Now, I use that chord progression of that song as an example, but there are examples of movement in fourths everywhere you look. Okay? So now, what you want to do to get the most out of something like this is to start looking for that. Look at songs that you're playing and see how that works. Because think about it. If 1 goes to 4, that's moving a fourth.
Yeah.
If 5 goes to 1, that's moving a fourth.
Yes.
Cool. And now, if I may, before I forget, let me talk to you about what I was actually trying to say. Going back to the A blues. That note, which is the 3rd of the 1 chord, works really well over the 1 chord. That note, the G natural, does not work particularly well over the 1 chord. It's a minor 3rd with a major chord, and that's not going to work very well. Kim, I'm in a lesson and I'm recording video right now. Okay, love you, bye. So, this video is going to be real big on YouTube, I can tell. So anyway, my point is that when I'm jamming, now I'm going to do a really simple solo, but I'm going to acknowledge the chord progression by using one simple trick. When I go to the 1 chord, or when the progression goes to the 1 chord, you're going to hear me go. Okay?
Yeah, from 5/4 to 1.
Well, just for anytime it goes to 1. Watch. If I can make it work here. To go on, right? Ooh, I went to the one early, and I waited for him.
That was, that's
But, and now notice, I'm not playing, I really wasn't showing off. I wasn't playing anything fancy.
yeah.
I'm using the notes right out of the scale. I did do one weird thing where, I forget where I bent somewhere I didn't tell you about.
You also did like a 1 to 4 kind of little lick there. Not that. It was like almost like a little bar chord in there that you threw in.
Oh, that's a real common thing. You're playing the bar, at least the top 3 strings. You hammer on the major 3rd for the 1 chord, and then you lay your fingers down in a bar in a 4 chord bar across the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. If you add the bass note, that's like an organ lick. Now I'm using an A7 in this case to the 4 chord. Right?
Yeah.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that E position?
It's the E position,
Okay. Yeah.
6th string, bar chord, and that's a lot.
Yeah. We're gonna have to come back to the rest of the bending notes next time around.
No, we won't. because we've got most of it. There's only 3 places, and
Okay.
and what I was talking about ties in. Okay, here on the 8th fret in the key of A minor,
Yeah.
on the 8th fret of the 1st string, on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. In other words, it's the top 3 notes or the top notes on the
Yeah.
top 3 strings.
Don't bend any of the lower strings.
You could bend the 8th fret of the
At the same scale degrees as these ones.
Exactly,
It'll just
exactly.
be different. Yeah. It's just
it's
harder.
just awkward. You have to pull down,
Yeah.
and it's probably not worth the extra effort. Although you could do that one. You want to
the
be
half
careful
step
with it.
bend.
Yeah, you want to do a half step bend, and you want to be careful there because it's real easy to pull the 6th string way sharp.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
now, and this is where I got off topic. You can tweak the minor
To
third
be halfway in
for the
between,
one chord,
Right.
or at least to approach
Yeah.
the minor, right? Right into the
Yeah.
4. Also, by the way, you could bend, if you slide up into the next position of the scale, you could bend the 10th fret of the
What shape are you doing?
that would be oh, that was so cool. I'm sorry, that was an accident.
I heard that.
Well, let's see. That would be, if this is the E minor shape, or G shape, let's say. G shape, what comes after the G shape? C, A, G, E, D.
So it's E shape.
It's the E shape, but it's the minor version of the E shape.
Is
The C minor shape. Well, wait, no, that's not it. No, I've got it. I have it right. It is. That's a root. Fourth. It's the D minor shape. Because that's the 6th note. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th. Okay.